not a win we've had since probably November, where we're down. A lot of those early wins when we started 15-4, we had a number of double-digit deficits in the second half and just stuck with it and kept playing. And it was a good win for our group to be able to do that again.
Yeah, a clutch time win. It was good to see the Lakers pull it out. Didn't matter who that was against. Stephen A., is there anything the Lakers can do to convince you that they are a contender this year?
Well, they can play some defense, and they could get DeAndre Ayton to act like he has a pulse. Those two things stand out in my mind. That's not the only thing they could do, but certainly that would go a long way. DeAndre Ayton, he's an island man, He's from the Bahamas and all that stuff. And he is somebody that makes you feel like half the time he's walking on the beach. Or he thinks he's walking on the beach. He's just that lackadaisical, that relaxed. No urgency whatsoever. And you can't have that from a 7-footer with the talent that he has. Nevertheless, it exists. Defensively, what are they? 22nd in efficiency, 26th in field goal percentage allowed. This is not an impressive defense. This is a defense that can barely stop a cold on too many occasions, unfortunately. That puts more pressure on LeBron, AR, and Doncic to be more efficient and to do what they do. And that's unfortunate because I think they have the offensive firepower to compete with anybody. They're number one in the NBA in field goal percentage, so they can make some shots. The issue is that you can't stop others from making their shots. And that's really, really the problem. So I would say defense and a center that has a pulse. That would help.
Shanae.
You got to come at my man, though. I mean, more productivity.
Go ahead, Monty.
More productivity.
Go ahead, Monty.
What did I say? What did I say, Eminem? What did I say, Eminem? What's the problem with what I said?
You just creatively told the truth, but why we got to take a shot at the islands? I love being on the islands. I would rather be on the island right now.
No. Hold on. My family, we're from the island. I mean, when I think about the islands, I love it, but I'm just saying, that's where you relax. That ocean air hits you, and it's just beautiful, and it's serene, and it's wonderful. And unfortunately, the Lakers have a center that act like he's chilling in the Bahamas on the beach instead of being on the basketball court at Crypto.com Arena. Yeah. That's the damn problem.
Yeah, no, I get it. They definitely.
That's not a shot at the islands. That's a shot at him.
For fair, they definitely need more productivity on their interior for sure. I just don't think this team has enough size in general to go to bat in the West. Now, if I had to say what scenario would you buy, I would need them to get somehow on a miraculous run with 2 games versus Denver and 2 times at Houston coming up. I would need them to some kind of way find their way into the fourth or third seed in the Western Conference, because then you're starting to look at matchups potentially. But right now, for them being on the outside looking in as far as having to go through that play-in potentially, I just think it's going to be too many games. And we've seen this. What was it, 2 years ago when the Lakers found themselves in a really entertaining run down the stretch, but they basically ran out of gas. So I think they'd have to figure out a way to jump in those standings for me to be like, wait a minute, hold up. Is LeBron James and company turning back the hands of time?
Stephen A., Monty, you guys know that I always like to come on here and be the glass half full and not the glass half empty when it comes to players. But I'm not going to lie. When I was watching the game yesterday and the Lakers were playing with their food a little bit, the game was closer than it needed to be. There was a stretch where DeAndre Ayton, they gave him a bounce pass that was wide open, a beautiful pocket pass slipped through his hands. Then he got a board, I think an old board, and then got swiped from behind, got blocked from behind. Fortunately, LeBron James still trusted his teammate. And then on the fast break, we were also in the middle of a LeBron James flurry of multiple dunks in fast break. He dishes it out to DeAndre Ayton, who knocks it down and, slams the alley-oop. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because I was cringing oh, no, this is just a bad situation when it comes to their bigs. And my answer is that, Again, I played for the Los Angeles Sparks. I understand the city, Los Angeles. It's been embedded in my family. This is my home right now. When you wear the purple and gold, you have the expectation to always say we are going to be a championship team sooner now than rather later. But this is just not the team by design, by construction. It's unfortunate. And you're right. Defense is the biggest issue. The late, great Pat Summitt said, offense sells tickets, defense wins games, rebounding wins championships. Contenders can play defense and rebound. The offense, the scoring, that's beautiful, that's sexy. They're currently 28th in rebounding, 23rd in defense. And then when we go to offense, they're 23rd or so in made threes per game, where that's where you're supposed to have some of the best, backcourt. You have LeBron James spotting up. You have Austin Reeves that can create a shot and create for others. And then you have Luka Doncic, who, mind you, I think he's pacing the NBA right now in points. The storyline should be, can Luka take the season and win MVP? But instead, everything is being undersold. So it's hard for me to say that they are contenders, even though they're in the mix and they're solidified right now in the playoff and not play-in.
Yeah,
well, you're not wrong about that. And I think the other thing to bring up is that you mentioned, remember, with LeBron, with AR, and with Luka, they're all scorers, not shooters. Like, you can't rely on their three-point shooting to be money. You can rely on them to put the ball in the hole on a frequent basis or night in, night out. But to shoot from three, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. That's just the way that it is with them. And when you combine that with the fact that their defense is horrid and that JJ needs their offense because he knows their defense is horrid, that puts even more pressure on the offense to be efficient, which obviously deflates some expectations as well. So all of that stuff works hand in hand.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. LA has the night off tonight. Obviously, they're coming off a win over the Pelicans last night where they rallied late.
I'm so surprised. So surprised.
That my sis just brought up in terms of OKC being able to knock off San Antonio. Surprise, surprise. I actually think when you really look at it in terms of the way the New York Knicks have played as of late, they should be in this conversation. This is a team whose defensive rating continues to climb. They're well into the top 10. I say, hear me out. This offense is prolific. Now, the problem is, and the reason why your face looked like that, is because we have seen this pendulum swing too hard, right? In terms of their lows are super low. But if that group, to me, can find a level of consistency, I get that Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs are a real threat. I agree with Sinead's take on that end. But when I look at the matchup of these two, like this team potentially has what you need to guard on the perimeter when those guys are locked in, right? The 1-2 punch that has been so discussed in terms of Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, you're talking about all-stars, you're talking about guys that have been effective. The thing is that it's so rare that you actually see the defense and the offense show up in its best form at the same time. But I actually think that the Knicks are the most talented team in the Eastern Conference.
Stephen A. Not in the Eastern Conference, it's the entire NBA.
Correct. But Sinead, we're doing like, OKC, we all agreed. I also feel you on San Antonio, but let's get other teams in the mix. And so I would legitimately look at the Knicks to be a championship squad.
Stephen A.
Both arguments are very compelling. But how about the team we were talking about a little while ago? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, there's speculation that the Cleveland Cavaliers, if LeBron wanted to end his career on a high note, he departs from LA this summer, goes back to Cleveland, delivers a chip, the 5th of his career, and walks away. Tying Kobe, Tim Duncan, championship hardware, that kind of thing, right? That's what we talked about. What if it doesn't come to that because Donovan Mitchell and James Harden steps up and propels the Cleveland Cavaliers to a championship? What if that happens? What if that happens with Allen and Mobley in the lineup? With this guy Tyson hitting some threes, with some of the pieces that they already have in place. What if Cleveland ends up winning a championship? Think about what that would do with the franchise. And think about what that would do with the rest of us, because we were looking forward to LeBron possibly going back to Cleveland, and now that wouldn't be necessary because they'd won without him. What about that? I think that makes for an incredibly compelling story as well. I get what you're saying about San Antonio. I get what you're saying about the Knicks. But we saw a Cleveland Cavaliers team with Cat sitting out inexplicably during the playoffs last year. We saw James Harden, before he arrived, not showing up in big games, meaning performing at a high level. And now he's in Cleveland, replacing Darius Garland. What if the Cleveland Cavaliers ascend to that point? That's a really, really interesting story. I can't knock
Stephen A.
How are we defining ceiling?
Stephen A.
I feel you.
Just like your impeccably tailored suit today, you are giving stark contrast to the way that we started this show. Period. Because you were so low on the Cleveland Cavaliers to start. And now you're saying that they have the highest ceiling.
Time out. Time out. That's exactly falling in line. In other words, I'm low on them right now. So if they won the championship, how high can you go? Which team has the highest ceiling? I'm saying if they pulled that off based on what we just finished talking about, that would be an incredibly big thing.
Yeah.
My ceiling is predicated not just on this year potentially being a surprise team and challenging the contenders in the West, but also this San Antonio Spurs team is set up for years to come.
Oh, wait, time out.
They built it.
Whoop, whistle.
Yeah,
Time out. How are we defining ceiling?
The ceiling
Needs
is
to
the
be
NBA
clarified.
championship.
Of this season.
Of this season.
I thought
Which
the
team
championship
could
this
win
season.
the championship?
Who changed the narrative now?
Yeah, I think I agree a little bit more with Stephen A. in terms of this season. I think the Spurs are very close to what they're going to be this year. I think they're close to what they're going to be this year. But I think those other two teams, we done seen some lows with them.
Look, the way I define ceiling, maybe as the tallest person here, okay? The way I define ceiling is that plenty of room to surprise you, meaning this is a team that people come in with maybe a little bit lower expectation, but they can surprise you. And we've seen over the course of the regular season